There we go. Hello and welcome to Entrepreneur Journey. Today, my guest is Cierra Lueck of Cierra Lueck Consulting, and she is an expert on growing profitable Facebook groups. Hi, Cierra. How are you?
I'm fantastic, Doug. Great to be here.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, Cierra.
So I have been helping build communities with businesses, with not just businesses, but organizations like nonprofit organizations and also ministries for the last I actually got started about 2 decades ago. I really jumped into it for myself, stepping up as a leader in that capacity about 15 years ago. And then about 12 years ago is when I jumped into the online world and started helping with online communities. And at that time, Facebook groups didn't even exist back then. And it was Cafe Mom. And I was admin over several very large, like multiple thousands of people in the groups. I was admin over those. And then we also launched several different groups there too, just to see like what makes a large group grow and stay large and help people stay active. And then what makes the other groups that try to do the same thing, but they just never really get past that pivotal point. They just stay kind of small, like maybe in the 100, 200, 500 range, as opposed to growing to the several thousand. So what actually causes that growth? And that's really what sparked my journey into helping business owners and entrepreneurs with their Facebook groups more recently.
Awesome. Well, I know you've been an inspiration for me starting this group to help entrepreneurs. So thank you for that. I have a few rapid fire getting to know you questions. What are you most grateful for?
Honestly, I do gratefulness every single day when I start my day, and it's a little different every day. I try to make sure that I'm grateful for something about myself personally. Each and every day, I try to make sure that I'm grateful for something about my family. I have 5 kids and I have a husband, and we've been married for more than 16 years. So it's one of those things where I have to be able to maintain those relationships. I have to keep up with those gratefulness things, because there's going to be moments where, you don't always like each other all the time, whether that's spousal or it's with your kids, because your kids were yelling at you for whatever reason. You messed up as a parent and you weren't doing it right. And so you have to find those moments to be grateful. And then I also try to make sure that I'm grateful for something in my business, and then something just in the world around me, something that I have no control over too. So there's a lot.
Yeah. One of the things that I always liked about you is you are a very good singer. And you've always started a lot of your lives singing a song to kind of wait for the people to jump on. And I always like that. What is your favorite song?
Oh, that's really tough. And I know that I looked at these questions ahead of time and I was like, nah, I'm going to answer on the fly. I honestly change my favorite music all the time. But I'll answer this similarly to how I answered like what book made the biggest impact on your life recently. And for me, the answer to the book question was the book that I just recently wrote, because it built that belief inside of me. It showed me that I was capable of doing so much more than I thought. It also showed me that, you don't have to do everything perfect to get there ahead of time. So in the same capacity, the songs that have impacted me the most, the songs that I love the most, are going to be the songs that I've written myself.
Nice. What is the favorite thing that you've marked off your bucket list already?
Ooh, marked off my bucket list. For a long time, I was giving away my services for free. And during that time when I was giving away my services for free, I devalued myself a lot. And this last year, when I started building my business, I bought myself the new car. And it was the first time I'd ever bought myself a car. I'd always co-signed on something in the past and co-owned stuff in the past. And this was the first car I bought by myself. And then I also bought the furniture that I'd been wanting to gift my family for a very long time. I wanted to elevate my family's vision for themselves. I completely refitted the house with new furniture. And that was a really big deal for me, because I paid for that in full all by myself. So
that's awesome. Fill in the blank. If blank was an Olympic sport, I would win a gold medal. Might be a tough one.
Yeah, that one is a tough one. I don't remember seeing that one on the paper. You must have added that one in. I don't know. If taking imperfect action was an Olympic sport, I would win a gold medal.
Awesome. So I've been inspired by your story. So I'd love for you to share a little bit about your journey as an entrepreneur with the audience.
Yeah. So like I was talking about earlier, I actually, when I started working in community engagement strategy, I was working with other businesses, other organizations. When I married my husband, we both had really deep entrepreneurial roots that stemmed from like generations before us. And so we started our own construction business at that time. But at that time too, I was the wife. I was the spouse. I deferred to my husband and everything. It was just kind of like the way we were raised. That's what you do. And so I wasn't really stepping out on my own at all during that time. And it took my husband being in the military, because he's actually about to separate from service this year, but he's been in the military for about 8 years. And it took him being in the military, and it took years of him being in the military for me to realize that it was okay for me to do it by myself, and to actually build up that confidence that I could do it by myself, that I didn't have to have a partner, that I didn't have to have somebody to lean on, that I didn't have to rely on other people to be able to accomplish the vision that I had. And one of the things that stood out for me most was a couple of years ago when we found out that my son was having seizures. And the way we found out was it was a Saturday afternoon, and he was cooking brunch for us in the kitchen. I've taught all my kids to cook. They cook really well. It was amazing. He was 11 years old at the time. He's cooking brunch for everybody. And he ends up picking up a hot pan with his bare hands and is just sitting there holding it. And his sister recognizes it. And in that moment, she was like, Israel, are you okay? Israel, did you burn yourself? Israel, why are you touching the pan? And he's just not responsive. And we realized it was like later on that evening that we realized that it might be seizures, and ended up finding out that he had a brain tumor. And that was like a really big, like pivotal turning point in my life, where there's so many good things that have happened from that. And I know, just looking at it from an outsider's perspective, like that's terrible, that's horrible. How could something so awful happen? It's like you never expect when you do everything right, and then things still go wrong. But it was in that moment that he started having to take medication, and he was starting to feel depressed. He was in a lot of pain all the time because his hands were burned. He could have seizures at any time and like lose part of his memory. And he felt like he was losing chunks of his life. And I was sitting there daily having to encourage him. So sometimes I would go cry in my closet, and sometimes I'd be out there. I'd go cry in my closet so I could come out there and be like, man, you're going to be speaking on stages someday. We need to be taking pictures and documenting this, because like you're going to have such an inspirational story to tell people, because you're going to overcome this. And then I'd go cry in my closet again and come back out and do it all over again. Mm-hmm. And there was this one day that I told my son that it's like, you can do and you can be anything that you want in life, as long as you put your mind to it and like don't stop pursuing it. And I realized that I wasn't doing that myself. I realized that when all that stuff happened with my son, I'd kind of given up on my entrepreneurial journey. And it wasn't that I completely stopped, because I still had all these things. I just backburnered them, I postponed them, and nobody faulted me. At the end of the day, nobody would have faulted me for just like stopping my life, right, and stopping everything that I was pursuing. And the thing was that at the end of the day, when I laid down in bed at night, I knew that I gave up on something that was important to me, and that I was not setting the right example for my kids. I was telling them that they should do it, but I wasn't doing it, and I wasn't leading from the front. So that was like the pivotal moment for me, where I stepped up and I was like, I'm going to do this.
I love that. I've always been inspired by that story. Where do you see your journey taking you in the next 5 years?
It's a great question. Honestly, my vision is a lot bigger than myself. This last year, as I was building up my consulting business, and as I started to launch my own group, and which we still haven't launched, I kept putting it off because I wanted to help other people so much, and my vision is so big. I realized that I wanted to extend my reach beyond myself. I didn't want it to just end with the one person I was talking to, because I'd done that a lot. I've mentored people one-on-one a lot over the years, and it's good and it helps them. But I realized if I really wanted to extend my reach, that I needed to be talking with the people who were then going to go out and impact hundreds or thousands of lives. So I started focusing more on coaches this year, and it's been phenomenal to watch them go out there and impact so many lives, people that I would never have the opportunity or the voice to touch.
That's awesome. I know you've just written a book as well, and that has to be pretty exciting to be an author now. Tell us a little bit about the book.
Uh, yeah, okay. So I was going to write a book about communities, and I started writing that book. It's a book that's been kind of just burning inside of me for the last year. And I joined this challenge, and I was like, yeah, no, I'm just going to sit down. I'm just going to get this done in a week. I actually used the help of artificial intelligence to kind of come up with like problem, agitate, solution kind of stuff, like copywriting kind of stuff, to build out different parts of the chapters. And I started it on a Wednesday, and it came around to Monday, and I was no closer to finishing that book. I'd maybe finished the introduction of that book, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is like my baby. This is like my life's work. Like, there's no way I'm finishing this by Wednesday, because it was a 1 week challenge.
Oh.
So Tuesday morning, I woke up because I was so stressed on Monday. I woke up on Tuesday, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to scrap this. I don't have to do my like end all book right now. I can do something smaller that's just going to help as many people as possible, as quickly as possible. And so I came up with a new concept and built out the book in 48 hours. And the concept behind the book is just beating the algorithm with viral content. And so it's the whole premise behind the book. It's called Not a Sales Book. And the idea is that if you nurture your audience right, and you actually get their attention, and your voice is heard by your audience, then by the time you get on the call, it's no longer a sales call. It ends up being a closing call, because they're already ready to work with you.
That's awesome. It sounds like everybody needs to check out that book. So I know you are a community growth expert, so I have a few questions related to that. When is the best time to start a Facebook group?
Now. Honestly, the best time to start a Facebook group, and let me just preface this by saying you can build a community anywhere. The reason why I push people towards Facebook groups right now is because Facebook is the best platform in terms of how many users are on the platform, how much user ability. It's very user friendly, to where they've been building out the algorithm for that. They've been promoting Facebook groups for the last 2 years, and they're in the process of making them better for communities. And so they're constantly trying to make that better. LinkedIn has groups also. There's a couple other platforms. I think one's called Mighty Networks. There's still Cafe Mom still exists. There's still Reddit. There's people building out communities on Slack. There's all different kinds of other platforms that people could be using. And the reason why Facebook is because it's the best platform out there right now. So that being said, all that aside, the best time to build a Facebook group is going to be after you've really settled and decided what your offer is. If you are still in that limbo of wanting to change your offer and you're not sure where you want to go, it is not a good time to start a group. Because if you start a group with one mission and purpose, and you bring all these people in, they're all excited about that, that's why they came to the group, and then you all of a sudden shift it, people are going to leave, and that's how you create a dead group. And that's not what you want. You don't want to sit there spending all this time building something up just to have it die later. The goal when I work with my clients on the C5 strategy is to build a culture, build out a mission and purpose, so that no matter what you offer, it still fits with that. It deeply resonates with the people, but then it's also built for longevity. Because who starts a business just so that it'll die a few months from now? Right. Nobody. Everybody starts with the idea that they want to continue to earn money, continue to earn a profit, continue to see results, and continue to change lives over time.